He's going all the way. 20, 15, 10. Touchdown. Texas Tech takes home the victory.
Good morning, Shufflers. Welcome to another episode of the Broadway Shuffle. We are here to react to Texas Tech's dominating win over Oregon State, a 45-14 win in the Jones. Texas Tech off to a 3-0 start. We're going to look ahead a little bit, too. Big 12 play is going to kick off against Utah. Big noon coming up this Saturday. I am Brennan here with Clayton, Conrad, and Zyler. And wherever you are and however you may be listening, we appreciate you tuning in to our show. Gentlemen, tons of fun. It was my first game at the Jones this year on Saturday. Rain delay, all that being said, Texas Tech came out, showed a lot of fight, I thought. Zyler, me and you were on the field talking about it during the delay, saying, man, this favors Oregon State. You know, are the guys going to come back out a little soft, a little more nervous, having sit in the locker room? That was not a problem at all. Texas Tech, from start to finish, looked the part. Clayto, we missed you this weekend in Lubbock, man. I want to go to you first. Overall thoughts on the game. Texas Tech comes out of the non-conference slate 3-0. Defense hasn't given up a touchdown. What are your thoughts on the team now that you're looking back, seeing the 3 straight home wins?
Yeah, to see you like physically dominate an opponent like Oregon State, even though they're not Power 5 anymore. But, you know, I guess definitely a rung up from Kent State and Arkansas Pine Bluff. Seeing that was super encouraging. Honestly, I feel like I said before the season that there was nothing you could do that would like change my opinion on the team, but I honestly think that we've looked a little better than I thought. You're outscoring opponents 161-0 in the first 3 quarters of the game. And then we've given up some garbage time points when our, second and third string comes in, but super dominant whenever you're first stringer out there. Just makes me excited to see this team against equal or, similar competition conference play.
Yeah, man. Z, to go back to what I said to start the show, talking about the rain delay and just the nerves, the energy in the Jones, by the way, if you weren't at the game, coming out, the 2:30, the clouds, everything felt like this is going to be epic. Like these guys, it's loud, it's sold out, and I was thinking this is going to be an awesome game. And then immediately it gets shut down. How do you feel like the team responded coming back from that break? And what does that say about this team? The maturity showing that they still took care of business early on.
Yeah, I think the interview we have with Koi, he talks about it a little bit too, but McGuire told them, don't react, respond. Get out there and set the tone. And Koi even said, look, this team, we saw a couple plays that they're in man. And I mean, he came out and said, he's like, we're gonna smoke them if they're doing that. So I thought the energy that they came out with initially, just step on their throat and never give them a chance to feel like they're in the game. I feel like we have so many times you just play with your food with a team that's either about as good as you or significantly worse than you, and you just let them hang around. You let them hang around. ACU last year is a perfect example of this. From the first 3 or 4 drives, I was like, okay, we're winning this game. There's really no hope for Oregon State. And so I thought that was really impressive. Again, the defensive line continues to look incredibly imposing. And I thought maybe last week the edge position was just pretty much unblockable. This week the interior was unstoppable. Lee Hunter dominated. I thought he was the best player on the line this week. Anthony Holmes was good again. Skylar Gill-Howard's good again. They couldn't run. I mean, at one point they had like 12 carries for 13 yards. It was something absurd. They could not get anything going on the ground. And so another just really encouraging step for your defense. Again, I think for Oregon State offensively, they were plagued by drops. Their receivers and tight ends, I don't know what it was, but they could not hold on to the ball. And I think that helped you a little bit. But again, another really encouraging performance. It's the first time McGuire's had a 3-0 non-conference. So good on him for getting that done and getting that notch on his belt. But yeah, really, really good start. Really, really good game. And honestly, for a 2.5-hour rain delay, students still stayed. I've been to games, pre-COVID where you didn't have that many students at the start of an 11 a.m. kick, and they stuck it out. And I was really impressed by the student section. That was just another random note that I had.
Yeah, and forgot to mention, Koy Eakin is going to be joining us here in a little bit. Looking forward to that. Very exciting. Cowboy Koi joining the show. Conrad, the offense, man. Speaking of Koy Eakin, these players look different. There's a lot of skill on the offensive side of the ball. They continue to show it. Baron Morton continues to look impressive with 4 touchdown passes on the game. Overall thoughts on the offensive side of the ball?
Yeah, I think this is, in my opinion, the best offense in the Big 12. I think this may be a top 7 offense in the country, if not top 5. I think this is absolutely a collection of talent and execution that is really definitely unmatched in the Big 12, in my opinion. But I mean, looking across the country, it's something special. And again, I know the competition we've played, and I know it's getting better, but what your quarterback has been able to do, the protection he's gotten from the offensive line, the cohesiveness playing together, it's impressive. And the receivers are making catches, they're running their routes. Obviously, a lot of the choice routes that are being made, the receiver and Barron are on the same page. You don't see a lot of miscommunication from these guys. And I don't care who you're playing, what level of competition that is. If that's the case, I think that's a good sign going forward. And so this offense, I think it's only going to keep rolling. Is it going to score 45 every game or 62 and 67? No, it's not. But maybe it could. You never know. I mean, maybe it's just that good where it's like, hey, and everybody's healthy and it keeps happening. So very impressed with the offense, defense as well. But I think this is the best start you could have hoped for, right? 3-0, and the way you looked in these 3 games, it's just it could not have gone better for the Texas Tech Red Raiders.
Conrad, Brennan, go ahead.
Z, I was just going to say quick, which unit has impressed you more through 3 games, the offense or the defense?
Man, that is an incredibly good question.
The fact that it's so good.
I think the offense.
The fact that it's so good. The fact that we're even having to think about it shows how good both of them have been. In years past, it wouldn't even have been a question. It was just been by default offense. But this is so unique. So yeah, I don't know. It's hard. I don't know that I can answer. I have to just push that.
No, that's not allowed.
Offense. I think it's the offense. I think your offense is put together a little more structurally. I think you have more high-end playmakers on the offensive side, but it's like, I mean, that's super, super nitpicky. The defense has looked really good, and the starters haven't given up a touchdown yet. I mean, it's just, what are you going to really nitpick about that unit right now?
Yeah, I love when I ask a question that totally stumps you guys. It's fun to see your faces go, I don't know the answer to this one. It's interesting for me to watch because it feels different. Just when the defense is on the field, maybe we're just so used to putting our head down and like, oh man, this isn't going to end well. But right now, I mean, there's just no place to attack this side of the ball. I mean, they can't run up the middle. They can't get past the second line. And honestly, our cornerbacks, which I guess have been the most quiet group of the bunch, if you're talking about household names and expectations compared to the linebackers and the front 4, have been great too. And so it's just kind of a situation where it's going to be interesting to see as Big 12 play starts this week, where are teams going to try to attack this defense? I guess if you had to answer that question, where would you expect a team to try to do that? Because this unit looks so deep and so physical, it's going to be hard to run on them, it looks like.
Yeah, I think Clayton will probably have a similar answer. I think it's going to be a lot of short passing stuff. I think it's getting your linebackers in tricky spots, making your safeties come up and play. And I think you saw Oregon State do. They had some clever concepts. They really it was the execution that failed them more than anything. They're going to try to pick on some of the safeties when they try to keep up. I mean, I think you saw BJ had to make quite a few plays. That's going to be the spot where I think it's 8 to 12 yard routes. And it's quick stuff. You're taking 2 steps throws, 3 steps throw, take the edge, take the interior pressure out of the equation, and just kind of death by 1,000 cuts down the field. I think that's how I would attack, and that's how Oregon State tried to attack. And I thought schematically they looked fine. They just had a tough time executing, and we had a big part in that.
Yeah, I agree. I would say the quick passing game, but even then, I mean, there's not a lot of, I feel like, college QBs that are good enough to just execute all the way down the field and don't get greedy and like want the big play. So I think if there was going to be, which it's not even necessarily a weakness, but like if there was going to be maybe a weaker spot, that would be what I would prefer, rather than like
the
we can't stop the run last year where you can't stop giving up 50
right.
touchdowns.
Yeah. It's a great point. Guys, I want to shout out, I went back and rewatched the game because, Brennan, like you said, like when you're down there watching it, you can see a lot, but sometimes you miss some stuff. John Curry really is playing well, and he is very fundamentally sound. Some of the stuff where he wasn't necessarily making tackles, I have been really, really impressed with him. And then Bryce Pollock, I know he had the 2 interceptions, and everybody's going to notice that, but he's great in coverage. He's looked really, really good. I thought Dante Balfour looked really, really good. And then a couple other things that I noticed on a rewatch. Cam Dickey has improved a ton from game 1 to game 2. His pass pro has looked much better. That Jacoby Williams play where he scores on 3rd and 30 or whatever is 3rd and however long. If you watch it back, Cam Dickey sprints out of the backfield and hauls all the way down to the 5 and gets the block that actually gets him into the end zone. Huge hustle play that I thought really spoke something to me, that this guy is really efforting. He's playing well. He's trying hard, and he's improved a lot. I think he's easily my most improved player from week 1 to week 3. And I was really impressed with what I saw from Cam. He's not a perfect player yet, but he made mistakes just like they all did. But I was really impressed with the effort I saw from him on Saturday.
Yeah, I feel like the skill, Conrad, of these guys now and just the buy-in as a collective unit is different. You just get the feeling. Then being down there as well, seeing it up close and feeling just how these guys are helping each other up off the field, just the little things that Texas Tech is doing right, where it just seems, and that's a byproduct of good coaching. That's guys staying disciplined, staying focused on the task at hand, which I think has been preached to these guys. And you can tell this is a disciplined football team. I mean, I don't know the exact numbers, Conrad, but I haven't noticed a ton of penalties, a lot of holding penalties, and any really personal fouls. It's been pretty clean football as well the last 3 games.
Yeah, except for Jacoby's coordinated dance down there.
That one was
that
nice.
one's fine.
I mean,
that doesn't count.
I think
that doesn't count.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
don't
have a
know,
huge
but-
bone to pick with that too. If I'm the Oregon State coach and they kick off from the 20 or whatever we did, and you run out of bounds before the 25 as a kickoff returner, you are never going back. Like, how is that possible that you get less than the touchback value when they kick off from the 20? That was insane to me. I couldn't
I didn't
believe
even notice that.
Oh, it was
hilarious.
awful. He's just like kind of trotted out of bounds. It was terrible.
So not counting a touchdown celebration, it's been pretty good.
Yeah, you had some holding penalties. You had some stuff in the red zone. I think if we want to talk about bad stuff, I think some of your red zone execution leaves a little bit to be desired.
The intentional grounding was
Barron's
an odd
interception,
play.
the intentional grounding. But truly, outside of those 2 plays, and I know those are big plays, it's a 17-yard sack and it's an interception in the red zone, so I don't want to discount those. But outside of that, man, Barron was incredibly sharp and not just taking super easy throws. The pass to Koi, coming out of the rain delay, the pass to Terrence
the one to Carter was insane.
The one to Reggie Virgil, I think in the 3rd quarter that he threw, kind of crossed his body over to the left side. It was a fingertip catch. It was a great play by both players. That was one of the best throws I've seen Barron make, maybe in his career. He looked really sharp. I was impressed with Barron. Conrad,
speak to Barron.
There's a noticeable difference. He's the best quarterback in the Big 12. How could you not speak about him? I don't think that's a hot take at all. I think that's very realistic. I don't think that's too much. He's second in the Big 12 in yards, first in touchdowns. 70% completion percentage. Tell me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think his arm looks much better this year, obviously, than it did last year. I think now, looking back at all that we know about the surgery, the reason for the surgery, I think it was unequivocally the correct decision. Looking at the way he's throwing the football right now, so I think he's playing great. I'm just excited for this week, which I know we'll talk about in a second. But yeah, I think it's a really good thing when you got the best quarterback in the Big 12 on your team.
I need to apologize. Conrad was absolutely right on where he ranked Barron in our Big 12 QB rankings. He was much higher on Barron than I was. I'm just going to put it on record. Conrad was right. I was wrong there. So Conrad, take your flowers. I had him too low.
I think I'm going to clip that as a short and put it post that from my own account and make sure that's that's just going to be on repeat. Conrad was right.
I was too confident in Avery Johnson. I think that was my biggest mess up.
That was the wrong decision.
That was a bad take.
I will say his deep balls have looked great. Like the throw to Koi was gorgeous. The throw to Caleb was spot on, as y'all mentioned, the Terrence Carter one as well. And but just watching these guys, like the juke moves even that these guys are making, it just feels a little different. It's just better athletes on the field that he's also throwing to. Terrence Carter, John Carlos Miller. The tight end position's deeper. It's a lot of fun to watch, man. I cannot wait. I've been talking about the Utah game for months now, saying that this is the measuring stick game for me. And I know we're here to react, but I honestly I wish we could record our preview episode. We'll get to that on Thursday. Make sure you like this video and subscribe so you don't miss that episode or any of our other stuff. But man, it's going to be a lot of fun in Salt Lake City. I am looking forward to that.
Conrad, I wanted to show you a few things. If you know what Game on Paper is, it's a nice little analytic website that shows you a lot about how an actual game played out. And now there's no filter for garbage time a lot of times. So, but just wanted to look at some of these things. Right here is where you just see exactly where we won this game. An EPA per dropback of 0.52 in the 91st percentile. You just absolutely dominated them here. Now, here's the thing that maybe you're worried about, and I think some of this gets skewed by the second half numbers, but 0.08, 34th percentile EPA for rush for Texas Tech. But dude, you look at this thing for Oregon State. These are the ones that really, really excite me. 5th percentile for Oregon State on EPA per rush, and then an explosive play rate of only 6%. Those were things that will travel. That works really well.
Zyler, for our listeners that have not been here since last football season, can you explain the EPA per drop back and all of those metrics you just listed?
Yeah, exactly. So expected points added. So if you think about how many points would I be expected to score if I'm at 1st and 10 on my opponent's 40, and then if my next down is 2nd and 25, I am expected to score a lot less now from this position. And so the difference between what I had on 1st and 10 at the 40 to 2nd and 25 on my side, that is EPA per play. And then they measure that by, dropbacks, rushing attacks, and then a bunch of different things. So essentially on a down-to-down basis, how well are you at putting yourself in a better position? And you're really good at that. You're averaging 11 yards. You averaged 11 yards per drop back against Oregon State. That is an incredibly good number. The thing that also encourages me, you had a really good EPA without explosive plays. A lot of teams rely a lot on explosive plays. You just absolutely dominated Oregon State here. There wasn't anything fluky about it. They were able to get some stuff back in garbage time, but you really kind of killed this team. And this is a really fun website to look at to understand, how did the game actually play out? Where did we actually lose? And not just key in on one individual play. You did a really good job dominating them in pretty much every single aspect of this game. So we'll be using this a lot going forward when we do our previews. A lot of really fun stuff to see here. You just killed this team. There's really no other way around it.
Yeah, if you're here for the first time, Zyler is very smart. That's pretty much all you need to know. And he knows words that we don't know. Conrad and I.
No.
Clayton's smart too. Conrad and I, we don't know what goes through that mind, but we're here to provide whatever value we can as well. So
we all graduated from the greatest university in the world. We're all very, very adequate in our own ways. And speaking of that university, I do want to shout out President Skuvanek and Patty Skuvanek as well. Had the opportunity to talk with them on the field. Patty listens to us regularly, and so Patty, thanks for listening to the show, and we greatly appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah, man, that was a lot of fun.
One other shout out. I talked to the alleged longest tenured member on Red Raider Sports. I won't out his username, but he was very proud of that. We talked to him, and it was a lot of fun.
He was very proud of that.
I won't out him, but yeah, that was a great time catching up with you guys and a really, really fun atmosphere.
Yeah, man, it was a fun day for sure. Clayton, we missed you, but next time, dude, we'll get you next time.
Yeah, next time.
All right, let's get to overreaction or reality. Conrad, you kind of alluded to this earlier, and I guess I already know your answer, but I want to ask first question: overreaction or reality for Texas Tech football. Texas Tech has the best offense in the Big 12.
I think a better question would be Texas Tech has the best offense in the country.
Oh my gosh,
that'd be a better question.
So that's a reality for Conrad.
That'd be a better question. Hey, tell me. Hey, okay, let me ask you guys a question. Yes or no answer from all of you. Is that a crazy take that Texas Tech has the best offense in the country? Is it crazy? I'm not saying do you agree. I'm not even sure if I agree, but do you think that's crazy? Yes or no?
No, I don't think it's insane.
It's not insane, but it's not reality. It's definitely not
I think
reality.
Miami deserves that title right now.
You just haven't done it against a defense that anybody would be scared of going against yet. That's the only, not the only hesitation, but that's
just not crazy. It's not crazy.
The computers say you have like the 4th or 5th best offense in the country. So
and we were top 10 last year too. It's like this personnel has already done it.
Man, dude, Conrad, the other thing that I'll say, for as much grief as our offensive line takes for their run blocking, I thought for a large part of the game, they were really good in pass pro. Barron had all kinds of time to throw the ball, and you see what he does in a clean pocket. He's never going to be Johnny Manziel or Pat Mahomes when he gets pressured, but when he has a clean pocket, he is a really, really good quarterback. Yeah. I thought the offensive line did really good, and they deserve their flowers on that.
Okay, so is that reality for all three of you? Clearly, Conrad's is reality. Clayton, you going reality?
I'll say reality.
Okay.
I'll say, man, I think it's you or Baylor.
Clean sweep it, Zyler.
Yeah, I was going to say Baylor is the other team that I would mention.
I think
But
I'll just say
do-
overreaction right now because, dude, these teams are just not that good that you've dominated. So but man, I mean, it's right there. I'd be very close to saying that, and the computers have it that way. So I don't know. I'm really tough.
I
on
don't
this
know
one.
why
It's a great
Zyler's
question.
disagreeing with the computers.
I want to see you do it against a team that didn't get relegated to the Mountain West.
So Utah.
Yeah. So Utah. You
So
go out there and
we
you
go score
spank
40
Utah
against Utah.
Oh, you will have the best offense. You'll probably have the best offense in the country if you're putting up 40 plus points on Utah.
Yeah, I'm going to say reality as well from the Big 12 games I've watched, just the consistency to which you do it. I think there is something to be said, though it's lesser competition, for still taking care of business and doing what you're supposed to do and making it look easy. And Texas Tech has made it look easy on offense. And the guys that I'm seeing play their position, I keep talking about it, but the skill players on the offense, you're going to have a hard time telling me there's a better tight end in the conference than Terrence Carter and what he's able to do. That hurdle on the sideline, I mean, and then almost the near one-handed grab in the end zone. Like, those are plays that only athletes can make or potentially make. There's few guys like him. I think he's a unicorn at that position on the offensive side of the ball. So I'm going to say reality based off what I'm seeing. You've already alluded to Barron's stats, the 11 touchdowns, really one bad pass all year. And it was kind of a rush throw. Pressure was coming up. He threw pretty much a Hail Mary and then got picked off. So hard to judge Barron for that. So
I'm going to be negative Nancy again. It's the second quarter Barron stuff that continues to just like rear its head just a little bit. That I'm like,
what do you mean by that?
Like the second quarter against Kent State, you remember, like he just had a lot of weird red zone stuff that wasn't very crisp, and it was literally just that quarter. And then this game against Oregon State, it's like, what is going on here? I want to see that get cleaned up a little bit from there.
Yeah. Well, let's see it. Let's see it against the next question that I have, that Utah will be your toughest opponent you play in conference play this year.
Reality. From what I've seen so far, I think, although I do like, are we sure that Utah is actually as good as people are saying? One bone I have to pick with the AP poll is if going into the season, if you thought Utah was better than Texas Tech, that's probably still in your head. And if you thought Tech was better than Utah, you probably still believe that. But why did Utah pass Tech in the top 25? What have they done that is more impressive than anything that we've done? I don't understand. I know it's because of the perception of the UCLA game, but it turns out UCLA might be the worst team in the Power 5.
It's crazy.
They were in a dogfight with Wyoming.
They fired their coach.
Yeah.
UCLA.
And Virginia Tech hired after 3 games. I don't think I've ever seen 2 Power 5 jobs open in September that were like non-scandal related.
I think it's hard because I know the Utah game in Wyoming this weekend looked closer, but they still dominated the game. It was 31-6 final. Wyoming was never really competitive in the game. Utah was just kind of beating themselves. And the UCLA win doesn't look as sexy now, but it still was a dominating win. Like I just said, for Tech, doing what you're supposed to do against worse opponents still counts for something. We've seen schools that have not done that so far this year. So what I see with Utah on paper and the physicality of Utah, I'm going to say reality, just because they're well coached, they're well disciplined, and their quarterback's athletic. Like, you haven't played a quarterback like Devin Dampier yet, or an offensive scheme like Utah yet. So based off what I've seen with the rest of the Big 12, Kansas State's fallen off. Arizona State doesn't look nearly as good. TCU and Baylor, you don't play. So I'm going to say Utah based off your schedule and who you don't have to play as well in the conference.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty easy reality for me. I think these are the 2 betting favorites in the Big 12 by a significant margin right now. I think these are the 2 best teams on paper right now. They may not be the teams that make the title game, but I think Utah is by far the hardest team that you're going to pick right now. Things can change, but on paper, definitely.
Yeah, I
Conrad,
don't think it's. Yeah, I'm gonna do the clean sweep and say reality. I just don't. I'm not high on Arizona State. I'm obviously not high on Kansas State. That may be the bottom 4 team in the Big 12, if we're being really honest. And so I think it's easy reality. I just am really excited to see David Bailey, Romello Hiley, Hunter Schuyler, and all these guys on our front seven, J-Rod, Curry, Ben Robert. I'm really excited to see them make Devin Dampier look like the 57% completion quarterback he was last year. I'm really excited to see that happen on Saturday.
We'll see.
I hope
will
you're
see.
right. Well, before we get to Coy Eakin, he's coming up here in just a few minutes. Conrad, state of the Kool-Aid Factory, man. I know we're kind of pushing it around episodes. It's not always at the beginning anymore, but we've had a lot of loyal shufflers for a long time asking about the Kool-Aid guys. So what's going on with Texas Tech Kool-Aid Factory before Coy Eakin hops on?
Yeah, this has been the best 3-game stretch of the Kool-Aid Factory in our short history. I think it's something that we should be proud of, not only as hosts of the Broadway Shuffle, but also proud of as Texas Tech fans. I mean, other than Barron's injury for about 25 minutes before he came back out on the field and looked fine, there's really been no stress these first 3 games. So sales are high, things are going well, and looking forward to announcing the new flavor for this week for the Utah Utes on Thursday's episode.
All right, now joining the Broadway Shuffle, Texas Tech wide receiver Coy Eakin. Cowboy Koi, man, great game against Oregon State. Thank you for being on the show. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course, dude. Well, hey, great win against Oregon State. Awesome catch. Walk us through that game and the rain delay. This game started so funky. The energy was so high in the Jones. It just felt like the energy, the vibe, everything. You guys were ready to go, and then boom, you're sitting in the locker room for another 2 hours. Second time in 3 games you've had a delay. What was it like coming back out and then catching that touchdown pretty quick? Walk us through that whole timeline and then coming out and getting the score.
Well, I mean, every time you have a delay, it's kind of hard. It's not really hard, but you just kind of got to trust to get back going, get your whole team back going right before you go out. It was a sold-out crowd, and we came out there ready to go. And we're all, when you come out to the field, you're always on a high. You have adrenaline rush that nothing else can give you that. But I will say when we got to the locker room after the second delay, everyone kind of started crashing. I was like, oh gosh, this is not good. We got to get going. So every time they would say 45 minutes or 30 minutes, I'd get up, start rolling out, doing my little pregame thing. And then they'd be like, all right, 45 minutes, I'll go sit down. You know what I mean? But everyone was kind of doing their own little thing, kind of to stay ready. We're watching a lot of football in there, kind of keeping our minds right, staying off the phone, things like that. And then, from the 2 or 3 plays we got before the rain delay, okay, yeah, they're playing man, throw it. And so we already knew, as soon as we went back out there, exactly what we were going to do. And, it was about to be a successful night. And so when we got out there, right before we go out there, Coach McGuire kind of got us going, saying how we have to respond, we don't react, and so as soon as we got out there, it was start fast, play our game, and then, got the right coverage and threw a shot and scored. So just blessed to have that.
Coy, I got to ask, when you see something like that and you run that route, is there a moment where you get past the guy, you're like, oh man, I want to look back and I want to see that ball in the air? Because you guys run a lot of routes, but only one guy can get the ball thrown to him. Were you thinking, please let that ball be in there? Or what was kind of going through your head there?
Well, every time you get a coverage that you want, or basically man coverage for receiver and some other zones for different plays, when you run your route off of somebody and you make your move, or you do what you do at the line at the release point and you leave somebody, you beat them, and you're like, oh my god, it's just the most free feeling ever. You're like, oh, it's coming. Barron, he's always looking for that one-on-one matchup. So I always knew, I knew I had the one-on-one that play. So I was like, I win, I score. So, I stuck at him, got out, and Barron threw a great ball. But it's always a really good feeling when you're you're sticking and running, and as soon as you look up, it's already halfway to you, and you're like, okay, yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Dude, that's got to be an unbelievable moment.
Yeah.
That's really cool. You and Barron, yeah, go ahead, Clayton.
No, 100%. It is an unbelievable moment. Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to ask, does that rank high on your plays at Tech or touchdowns? Because I feel like you have a lot of sick plays. Do you have a particular one that's your favorite?
My favorite play ever at Tech is my first touchdown at Baylor, for sure.
Oh yeah,
and that was just because I broke 2 collarbones that year, came back, started in the 5th game of the season, and then didn't have a great game, and then get to Baylor and then go ball out. So that was definitely my favorite one. It was also against someone good, and it was on a fade ball, so it was all right, one-on-one opportunity. But yeah, every touchdown I love. It's always a good feeling.
6 catches, dude, 139 yards yesterday. I was standing on the 35-yard line. Y'all broke a huddle, and you walked right by me, and I was like, no wonder this kid's winning all these one-on-ones, dude. You were bigger than I think maybe a lot of people realize. Your size, and so against cornerbacks, you're going to have a mismatch. Do you feel pretty confident in those one-on-one situations that most of these guys aren't going to be able to guard me when I get those mismatches?
Well, it was a big key point on this past spring and summer was, and really in the winter too, was, hey, I didn't have great separation. I had a great year last year, but I didn't have great separation. So I was like, I am a bigger kid, and if I can move like I'm a smaller kid, it'd be deadly. You know what I'm saying? So I watched a lot of film. I watched 30 minutes of NFL one-on-ones every night, 5 days a week, and then I watched some receivers, seeing how they move, and then throughout the summer, I wake up early and go up there and, just work out drills, just kind of saying okay, if I get this coverage, this route, this is what I do. And so, when it comes to season time, you've kind of already been through every situation. And, a lot of people don't I get that a lot, actually. People are like, I don't think I know you're tall and you actually have some weight to you. But I think that's a compliment.
Say you're jacked, dude.
Dude. You can say you're jacked.
No, I do. The weight room is my best friend. I've always been like that since Steamville, and that's really just Steamville High School. We lifted 7 days a week.
Wow.
So, I get pretty confident going into a game, just kind of knowing who I'm going against, and I watch so much film on them. I think I can tell what they're about to do before they do it. You know what I mean?
Coy, and you kind of already answered this. You moved inside this year. Technically, you are a quote-unquote slot receiver. But I wanted to ask, things that you feel like you've improved on a lot over last year or since, the beginning of your career for this season. And you kind of already answered that, so don't feel like you have to go into that. But then talk about the differences in scheme this year. Obviously, Leftwich and Kitley both do some things similarly, but there's also a lot of differences. How has that been for you as a receiver and as a player? And what are some things that you've really enjoyed about the scheme so far this year?
One thing I really enjoy about it is there's so much choice. You don't really – there's so many routes that I have as a slot receiver that I have a choice on. So, okay, there's some plays I've been through in past offenses where it's okay, I have this route, and if they're in this coverage, I have no chance of getting the ball. Well, it's okay, they can be in 3 different coverages, and I can get the ball in all 3 just because I have a choice on my route. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of freeing, if you get buried inside, well, I'm just going to stay inside. If I get walled outside, I'm just going to stay outside, or things like that. It kind of frees you up as a player. And then, our coach Leftwich always says, man, if you make a mistake, just be fast and don't get touched. So it's really, it's actually freeing as a receiver. Then you just go play your game, catch a ball and go get vertical.
Coy, talk a little bit. We hear about the choice routes, but we're guys that we don't play the game. We're not getting coached on that. How hard is that out of your break for the quarterback to feel confident, hey, he's going to see what I'm seeing? Does that just take time? Do you guys kind of have certain tells? You're he should see this. Walk through kind of implementing that. That's just something I've always been really curious on.
Yeah, so a basic play that everyone has in their playbook across the country is option. It's just a slot hey, you have a one-on-one, you have an option to go in, out, or stop at 5 yards. You know what I mean? And so, it takes, time throwing to the quarterbacks, things like that, going through fall camp, going through live situations about what you're about to do. And, me and Barron kind of got good at that over the years, you know what I'm saying? So he kind of knows what I'm thinking, what kind of coverage it is, if we run that against Minnie, who to run it off of and things like that. But so, and then we have another choice routes where it's man, if the corner's bailing, we can just sit it down. And if he's sitting on our grass, which means he's kind of square-footed, at our stopping point, just run by him. And so that's kind of what the option route tree is. And there's a lot more to it than that. But, there's it's kind of hard to explain. We have one route coming in. If it's one high, you bend it, and things like that. So it's just it's really just based off who you're running it off of. And it really just makes you get open every play. Yeah.
And I think that really speaks to, sometimes as fans, we think, dude, just throw it to the open guy. How hard can it be? And you guys talk about just how much work it takes to implement one play and do one thing. Yeah. It is unbelievable how much goes into it, how much the quarterback has to process, and then how much you guys have to process. Really, really impressive stuff, man. Thanks for explaining that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are 3-0 after the non-conference slate. I feel like both sides of the ball have pretty much done whatever they wanted to do. How are y'all feeling going into the Big 12 play? What are the vibes of the team right now?
Emotions are high. If you're not excited for this game, you're crazy. Everyone's going to be watching. I mean, you got Utah, and they're talking about us being a national championship contender, which I totally believe. But it's just like you going into that game saying like, okay, like it's time to go. Like we played 3 games, and we've done what we were supposed to do in those 3 games. Now it's time to go compete on a bigger level and an away game. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that little environment to be there in a big noon kickoff. So it's really Coach McGuire says that who we play last week? Nobody. Who we play this week? Nobody. Who we play next week? Nobody. Like they're all the same. But he's also like real about it. He's like, all right, it's big new kickoff. Like if you're not excited and amped and you're not ready to go, then you probably shouldn't be on the team. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and the country's noticing, dude. I mean, up to 17th in the country now. You continue to make a move up the rankings. Utah's right there at 16. So as Red Raider Nation, too, I think we're just excited to watch you guys. And we heard all of the talk all off season about what this team could be. It's great. I know it's early, but to see some of that come to fruition, you guys play well. But you had Baron Morton the last couple of years with you. It's been highly talked about, y'all's relationship, your friendship off the field, on the field, and the chemistry you have with Baron. Talk about that this year, having Baron finally healthy, obviously off to a great start offensively. Tell us about your relationship with Baron off the field and on the field as well.
Well, me and Baron grew up 45 minutes away from each other. We went to the same camp at Air It Out. I was in 7th grade. He was in 8th, and I would always go up to his grade and throw with them. I used to play quarterback my entire life. So, we always got to talk. And he was a giant recruit out of high school, so I thought he was like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, I get to hang out with Baron Morton. And then, I moved the receiver and get to come up here. And he was like the one guy that kind of took me under his wing. I was like, kind of showed me the ropes, like, hey, don't do this. Like, hey, like, you probably need to, like, stay extra and do this, things like that. And always had a good word to put in for the OC at any time for me, you know what I mean? Because he knew how hard I worked. And then we both battled injuries. We kind of been through the same things, the different injuries, but kind of at the same time. Like, he had his arm worked on, and I had my back worked on this spring. And, kind of come back at the same time. And every time that he was going to throw, I was in rehab, so I'd go to catch, and run routes for him, things like that. And so, and even before that, if he ever wanted to run routes, he'd text the group, and I'd be the first one there. So it just kind of built over a long term. The more time you hang out with somebody, even if it's like at football, you're going to talk about other things. So now it's like a personal connection. Like I can always go with him about anything outside of football. We hang out all the time. Even if it's at his house or at his ranch, or we go hunt in general, things like that.
That's good. That's awesome, man.
I mean, you guys have talked a little bit. Big 12 play opens up. I mean, what are your expectations for Big 12 play? Are you excited going into Utah? I mean, you've already talked about that a little bit, but what are you looking forward to in that game? Are you worried about the environment? What are some things that you're kind of thinking about that?
I want to say I'm ever worried about an environment. I'm just like, I love playing in front of people. That's how it's always been. I feel like if I'm in an environment where there's more people, I'm going to play better, just because I know people are watching. I'm excited more than anything because you get people watching, and the higher level competition you play, the more the right people are watching at the next level. So it's always exciting to do that. And Utah's a man team, and so that's kind of like a wide receiver's dream going in there, especially if you have Reggie and CD right beside you. They can't cover all 3. So, I'm excited about all
That's
that.
awesome, man.
Very cool.
Final question for you. How do you feel having the coolest nickname on the team? Is that
I
something
love
you
it.
would?
It's kind of crazy because
Can you walk us through the origin of Cowboy Koi real quick before you go?
Okay, so I started roping since I was 3 years old. My dad was a rodeo coach at West Texas A&M. He rodeoed his whole life. All of his brothers, he had 3 brothers. They all rodeoed. They all boxed and rodeoed their whole life. So it's kind of just like they like the lore behind them is crazy. And so they all grew up, and then I grew up. My dad was like, all right, you're going to do the exact same thing. And so I rodeoed since I was 3 years old. I roped my whole life. I still remember like days I would literally wake up, go to school, go to football practice, then go practice roping for like 2 hours, go rope at the arena and things like that. So, I roped all the way, and I rodeoed, and all the way till freshman year. I did break my leg in 4th grade, so that kind of like stopped me. I was like, man, I can't play football if I broke my leg. So that was my thinking. It wasn't like I can't rodeo now, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I always loved sports, and as soon as I got to where it was like sophomore year, like, okay, I can have an opportunity to go play somewhere if I lock in on one thing. So I was like, I'm gonna go play football. But when it gets cold outside, I'm one of the only people that wears jeans. And people are like, "You going on a date?" I'm like, "No, I'm just cold. Like, this is what we wear. Like, I don't know, like a belt. Like they're like you wearing a polo belt and jeans, and you're like, I do. This is what we wear in Stephenville." But yeah, it's just things like that. And I like people come over to my house. I have 2 roping dummies in the back with like ropes. I try to like teach people how to rope and things like that. But it kind of just like stuck as soon as Coach McGuire started saying it a couple years ago. But I love it.
That's awesome, man. Okay, so it's a Joey created the nickname. You were just a normal cowboy growing up. It wasn't like Cowboy Koi. It was that was your life. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, that's great. Well, we appreciate you. We appreciate watching you, dude, and we love having you on the show. You're welcome anytime. But man, I would not want to cross the Aken family. That's for sure. Boxing or open, those are things you don't want to get in front of them. That's what I'm taking away. But dude, seriously, appreciate you so much. Great game on Saturday, and good luck in Salt Lake City this weekend. We'll talk to you soon. All right.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all having me.
All right, Coy.
Thank you, Coy. Appreciate it.
All right, well, that was Coy Eakin. Man, ton of fun talking to Cowboy Koi. Appreciate Coy joining the show. Dude, I tell you, I told him during the interview, but he walked right by me, like right on the 35-yard line when they came out of a huddle. And I'm like, dude, this guy is massive. Like, this is not some small white wide receiver guy. Like, he is a huge receiver when you're actually seeing him. It was interesting hearing him talk about his mismatches and stuff, Z, because he really does create problems. You've got a tall and Caleb Douglas. You've got some Koi kind of playing the slot, also can take advantage of the outside. He's a much larger weapon, literally, than I thought he was for this offense.
Yeah, he's very much not your stereotypical slot receiver. Big, physical, athletic. And hearing him talk about choice routes, I mean, just really impressive. Knows what he's talking about. Guy is clearly a student of the game, and that's something that I really appreciate, and I think something that Barron probably really appreciates as well. Really enjoyed that conversation.
I wonder if he'll take us roping one time. That'd be interesting to see. I'd love to see Conrad with a big belt buckle and a hat trying to rope. Coy's got roping in his backyard, so maybe he'll just invite us over and we can try to rope.
That'd be a
him,
great video.
That would be a fun video. So, all right, well, let's get to a look around the country. You've got an undefeated matchup with Utah coming up. If you do take care of that game, Houston knocks off Colorado at home. They get the Oregon State Ducks coming up for them. Probably, I would imagine they will probably win that game. So now you're talking about a Houston team going on the road there October 4th that could also be undefeated. Surprising. How surprised are we with the Houston Cougars being undefeated at this point?
I mean, it just depends on what you thought of Colorado. I think their defense is legit. I think that they've got some guys that can definitely play on that defensive line, and I think Weigman has been good. I wouldn't say he's been great. That offense is not high flying. It is not super awesome, but it's capable enough. Dean Connors looks good out of the backfield. They've got some guys there. They have some offensive line injury issues that may bog them down a little bit. But I'm in on Houston being a 6, 7, potentially 8-win team this year. And they're going to be a challenge, man. You're going to open up with 2 really tricky road games. I think they're legit.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that Houston is undefeated. I was super low on Colorado coming into the year. Honestly, watching Colorado without Shadur, maybe it was justified that he got his jersey retired, leading that team to 9 wins last year. But I still think, you should be better than Houston, but they should be Oregon State. They're going to have what you would think would be a nice crowd at that game. So could be, closer.
I think they go to Corvallis, right? Yeah, they go to Corvallis.
Yeah, I think they go at Oregon State. Yeah, so
Oregon State could be looking down the barrel of like 0-5 if they don't. They got to play Oregon and then Houston. It is a tough.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. And then we talked about K-State a little earlier, Z, with Avery Johnson, but Arizona knocks off K-State. Arizona's 3-0, and then that was really one of the only main prominent Big 12 games. We've talked about Utah beating Wyoming. You had some other games like TCU knocked off ACU, but now that we're out of the non-conference slate here in the Big 12, biggest surprises in the conference and maybe biggest disappointments?
Yeah, I think surprises always depends on where you had teams prior to this. So I had K-State 7th in the Big 12. I am still surprised that they have looked this inept. Some will say it's Matt Wells, some will say it's Avery Johnson, some will say it's the offensive line. It's probably a nice little combination of all three. They were horrible against Arizona. I mean, they had a 75-yard run from their wide receiver that gave them a touchdown, and then they blocked a punt, and then they had to score that way. Outside of that, they kicked a field goal. They got dominated. And that's not an Arizona defense that's just littered with 4 and 5 stars everywhere. They could not move the ball at all. They can't run it. They can't really throw it. Them being that inept offensively is a bit surprising. And they have Jace Brown is a good player, I think, and I think Avery Johnson is an okay player. But outside of that, man, the talent's just not there, or at least it hasn't looked like that. And color me shocked that Jaron Tibbs, a Purdue transfer, didn't turn into this program-saving wide receiver. Yeah, that's
Bradley.
Which he's injured. So to be fair, and he'd actually played okay, but Arizona looks better. They're definitely not the team they were last year. They're actually coached this year, and I think that helps them a lot.
It is so hard to project teams in this new era of college football of where they're going to be based on where they were last year, based on who's returning. I mean, because you can have good players returning, but at the same time, you can have a new coach. You can have other players coming in at different positions. I mean, it's just so hard to project unless you're a new blood like Texas Tech that just infuses yourself with talent.
Yeah, it's to that point. I picked Clemson, so I'm going to go to kind of maybe foreshadow my Tommy Tubberville coming up here in a second. But like they were ranked 4th to start the year, and I'm thinking they're returning everyone. Z, we were talking about this weekend too, and you just don't know. Like it's so hard now to predict what is this team looking like. Who are they playing against that might have brought people in that we don't even know about? Texas Tech clearly brought in guys that seem to be working pretty well. Other schools bring in guys, and it's a total dumpster fire. So you really just don't know now like you used to. It makes it a lot more exciting, in my opinion, but it also can be confusing because we're like, how is this team this bad? Or how is this team this good? And you don't really know why, or this early on at least. It's kind of perplexing.
The thing, and I think especially with Arizona State and Clemson State, those were both teams that brought back a large portion of their group. But this is when the computer rankings like SP Plus and K Forward and different guys like that are so helpful. Clemson was like barely a top 20 team last year, and they brought everybody back. And it looks like they're pretty much a top 20 team again. Like not even close to a top 5 team. And Arizona State, the exact same thing. The computer still had them like 30th at the end of the year, and it looks like they're right about there again. And it's just projecting big improvements when you bring back returners that are just massive, massive leaps. That's hard for me to always buy in unless your guys were all freshmen and sophomores, or where it's like, yeah, dude, these kids were all 18 and 19. They're going to put on 25 pounds to get way better. These were old teams last year. They were experienced teams last year. Why do you expect them to take massive leaps? You really just don't see that often. So those two, I should have bought into the Clemson fade. And there were a lot of really smart guys. Bill Conley was out on Clemson. He had them like 10th to start the year, and that was apparently not low enough. So interesting, though, how it sometimes it works for some teams and sometimes it doesn't for others. Iowa State brought back, a lot of people, and they look really good. They lost some good players, but it's just funny how it works.
Yeah, Iowa State off to a 4-0 start as well. So it's exciting, man. Big 12 football is going to officially be here. We've reached it now. Texas Tech, they start that slate. It's going to be a lot of fun, but there have been some huge disappointments and some pretty exciting, surprising teams as well, like Houston that we mentioned. So, all right, let's get to our Tommy Tubbervilles of the week. We've got some good ones coming up this evening. Conrad, I'll go to you first, dude. Who was your Tommy Tubberville of the week?
Yeah, so there's honestly a lot to choose from, but I'm going to go with the LSU head football coach, Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly, the LSU Tigers are 3-0 now after their win against Florida, but I don't know if you guys saw the way he reacted to a reporter asking him about their school's less than stellar offense. I think it's obvious that he's pretty frustrated with the offense. Even though they're 3-0, I think they're number 3 in the country. I don't know what they are in the new poll. But they're great. They're a top 5 team in the country. And so just the way he reacted to that reporter, didn't think that was necessarily justified. Like, shouldn't you be really happy after you beat Florida in Death Valley at night? I don't know. I just wouldn't have maybe done it that way. But, Brian Kelly, head coach of the LSU Tigers, you are my Tommy Tubberville of the week.
That's so shocking to see Brian Kelly treat people with disregard. That's just not like him.
Yeah, it's counter.
It's
to
out
what
of
his
character for
personality
sure.
is. It is.
Yeah.
Well, Z, go ahead and double down on that one a little bit, referencing Garrett Nussmeier.
And this is more of a curiosity thing, but what in the world is going on with quarterback development, both in the NFL and in college football? Why does everybody seem to stink at the quarterback position? I don't know what's going on, but if you look at some of the guys that have just been massive, massive disappointments, you think about Garrett Nussmeier, Cade Klubnik, Arch Manning, Conrad's generational prospect, Lenora Sellers, DJ Lagway, Avery Johnson, like this crop of guys that were coming up and expected to be in the 26 draft class and the 27 draft class look terrible. And it's like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if they're all just young outside of Arch Manning, who's in his third year. And I don't mean to just rag on Arch, but some of them are young. That area, like, I don't know what it is, if it's the transfer portal, if it's scheme. It just seems like it is a lot tougher to develop quarterbacks than it used to be. And maybe it's because guys move around all the time. And there's plenty of examples, like the Cal quarterback looks really, really good to start off. So it's not all bad. But man, just really, really disappointed. And I feel like you don't see the really accurate field generals that you used to see 5 to 10 years ago, that maybe didn't have all the physical tools, but just really understood the game. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just over-indexed on a lot of these more publicly viewed teams. But man, just really, really interesting observing that. Just tough situation out there. So QB development, ? That's my Tommy Tubberville of the week.
I like that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's
Conrad.
a good one. Hey, let me say real quick, you know who did look really, really good on Saturday from a quarterback development perspective? That's been at the same.
Can I guess?
Hey, I'm not finished yet. I'm not finished
I want to
yet.
get. I know. You're asking a question.
Hey, Mr. Mills will call on you when it's your turn to answer the question.
Okay, go ahead.
So no. There's an individual, a quarterback that has been in the same system, or not the same system, but at the same school for a long time. I know you know who I'm going to say, but that doesn't mean I'm done talking. For a while, and he looked fantastic. And I think all the schools that Zyler just mentioned, maybe not all, but like some of them would trade for this guy. Brennan, you may now speak. Who is your guess to my question?
Are you going to say Ty Simpson?
That's exactly what I was going to guess.
I knew it. Dude. I knew he was going to say Ty
absolutely.
Simpson. He's your type of quarterback. He has looked really good.
Because even against Florida State, he was not bad. Like Ryan Williams,
he was pretty
there's
bad.
A lot of reasons.
The O-line play against Florida State was abysmal.
Ty Simpson was objectively not good against Florida State.
He was better than all of the guys you just mentioned against Florida. Like if all those guys like
really bad, pretty bad, still bad.
I mean, Ty threw some absolute dimes in that Florida State game.
Anybody can throw a good pass. He was bad. I mean, he wasn't awful. He was just bad.
I'm going to say he was average. I'm not going to say he was bad. I think he
against a team that was 2-10 last year.
We'll find out.
I don't think
Go ahead.
Do we need to pull up? Are we an Alabama podcast?
No. We're not. We're just discussing.
We're just
discussing
talking.
the quarterback.
I'm high on Ty Simpson. I was high on him before the season.
Let me read his stats to you, Conrad. He went 23 for 43, averaged 5.9 yards with a QBR of 55. I would call that bad.
Didn't we just talk about how it's really hard to project? Like, say, it was against Florida State 2-10 last year. Like, how do you
totally
like?
But
so
but still, a QBR of 55 is really bad.
Yeah,
he made
10 points better than Avery Johnson.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
he has looked good.
Well, he looks really good now.
I'll say this: we'll find out September 27th when they go at Georgia, and we'll see what they look like and what Ty looks like then. But Clayton, I'm going to go ahead and go. I'll let you go last just to stay on that quarterback trend of disappointments.
Please.
Clemson football is my Tommy Tubberville of the week. I picked them. Dude, okay, I have been so wrong to start the year, so that's why I went ahead and decided to start a podcast so I can just put it on the internet for people to see how much football I really know. But I picked Clemson to win the national championship and for Cade Klubnik to win the Heisman, and that's not looking really hot. So I'm gonna say myself with Clemson football going down with the ship with Dabo seems to be the wrong move, and Clemson football. I'm going to withhold myself because I'm sure I'll be Tommy at some point later in the year. So I'm going to stick just to Clemson being my Tommy Tubberville of the week. So
okay, I have a vibe check, and this is from Caesars. Can you guys name to me, and you'll just take a guess, there are 8 quarterbacks, that are in the top 8 odds for the Heisman. Do you guys have any sort of guess on who these guys are?
Carson Beck. No,
Yeah,
Slayer.
number 1. Yep.
Is Sayan in top 8 now?
No.
Is Diego
Dang.
Papia?
Sayin.
No.
Is Baron
Dante
Morton?
Moore?
Dante
Is
Moore
Baron
is there.
Morton?
Baron Morton is 6th in Heisman odds right now.
Let's
Wow.
go.
No,
I don't
Conrad.
know. I don't know how to bet. I really don't know how to bet. Someone should go do that. Someone should go do that.
No.
Okay, that's 3. Golly.
Who else?
I mean, is Nussmeier on there still because of the Clemson?
He is.
Yeah.
Nussmeier's
Okay.
on there.
Is Castellanos on there?
He isn't. He's technically tied for what would be, I guess, 7th with 3 guys, but I excluded him.
Okay.
But he is.
Don't
I'll give you
tell
the
me.
rest. It's
Yeah, go ahead.
Ty Simpson, Devin Dampier are back there at plus 1,600. Gunnar Stockton, and then John Mateer up there. So Baron Morton has
goodness.
cracked the top 8 in Heisman odds, just so you guys are aware of that. Something to monitor.
Hey,
Wow.
let me just if you're listening this far into
This
the
has
episode,
been a great
you
episode
need to
for
know
Conrad.
it's a great episode. It may be my favorite one we've ever done. If we beat Utah and Baron
dude.
looks the way that he's looked so far this season, we will launch the Baron Morton Heisman Trophy campaign week 4 of the college football season from the Broadway
Conrad, I
Shuffle.
thought
We
you
will
launched
do
that like in February.
I
That's
guess
been
that's
launched,
true.
yeah.
I guess
It's a
that's
relaunch.
true. But it will be
Yeah,
a
rebrand.
unanimous decision. Can we say
Oh,
that?
my-
Let's say he throws 300 touchdowns, or 300 yards.
300
Wow.
touchdowns.
Barrett, dude, slow down.
He's the best player of all
300
time.
yards. 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. Can we unanimously agree a week before we will be recording our reaction episode that we will launch the Baron Morton Heisman campaign as a show? Can we agree on that?
I'm
agree.
locked in on Utah. I'm with the team. I'm not worried about individual accolades. Worried about getting the W.
There's a thread on Red Raider Sports right now, that shows Barron's totals with all the Tech quarterbacks in history, and he's gonna move into top 4 in pretty much every passing category, which is insane for some of the QBs that Tech has had.
That is interesting. That you would think too, because it's been so he's hurt, he's not hurt. I mean, last year he was
Yeah.
healthy-ish, but still kind of dinged. It's been a rocky road to get there, but it is really impressive and a testament to Barron as well. Conrad, I'll launch the campaign with you, dude. If you go in and beat a top 16 team in the country on the road and play well, and you're the reason you win the game, that'd be one of the best top 5-7 wins so far this season. In a road win, a big game on the road always helps a Heisman. So yeah, I'll launch the campaign if that happens. I'm with you.
Zyler, Clayton, will you be joining us?
Dude, if you
Yeah.
win in Provo,
I'm
Barron
in.
it's the biggest game in that time slot. He will have some national acclaim if that happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Are we playing in Provo? Or I didn't know we were playing BYU.
Excuse
Sorry,
me,
Salt
Salt
Lake
Lake
City.
City.
Salt
Salt
Lake
Lake
It's
City.
a neutral field game.
Yeah.
in Provo. Yeah.
Excuse me, Salt Lake
All right.
City.
All right, Clayto, who's your Tommy, man?
Yeah, I'm giving out a pre-Tommy, a future Tommy. I think this is our first one in the show's history.
The first future Tommy of the year.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys did this as a kid, but sometimes if there's something I want and it's August, I'll just ask for an early Christmas present. That's basically what I'm doing right here. And I'm going to go ahead and give the College Football Playoff Committee a Tommy Tubberville for letting Notre Dame in the playoff with a 10-2 record, because I just know that's what's going to happen. And let me read you all the rest of their schedule. They have versus Purdue, at Arkansas, versus Boise State, versus NC State, versus USC, tough game, at Boston College, versus Navy, at Pittsburgh, versus Syracuse, at Stanford.
Yeah,
I
they're
genuinely
going.
think there's maybe
9.5
30
would be
teams.
the win total odds projection. I think maybe
I
USC.
legitimately, that's the only game that they'll be tested. But I think there's probably 40 teams that could go 8-4 with this schedule, and you just know that they're gonna let them in the playoff at 10-2. So I'm gonna go ahead and give the College Football Playoff Committee a Tommy Tubberville.
That's really solid.
What's
I
crazy?
cannot
What's
wait to
crazy
start hosting
too?
the committee.
Oh yeah, I will say this: Notre Dame's strength of schedule. You take away the first 2 games,
Which
honestly,
they did play.
which they did play, but that strength of schedule right there, that's worse than a Big 12 schedule.
I totally agree.
That's worse than a Big 12 schedule.
Yeah,
Which
that's a good point.
is what's so crazy is the brand
Pitt just
bias.
lost to West Virginia.
Stanford lost to Hawaii.
Stanford beat Boston College.
Exactly. I don't even know who's the worst team on the schedule. Like, they also have Purdue, who was the worst team in college football last year.
Yeah.
I
The
like that one,
Shufflers spoke pretty resoundingly on who the Tommy Tubberville of the week was going to be. And this was a fun one, but it made a lot of sense, and I'm glad we were able to get to it. The AP Top 25 for putting in the first 0-2 team into the top 25 since I think 1988, Notre Dame makes it without winning a single game, which, to be fair, I think they're probably top 25-ish good. But at this point, we've played 3.5 weeks of the season. You have to start rewarding people by who you've played and what you've done when you've played to them or when you've played them. So yeah, Shuffler's a great pick with the AP Top 25 being the honorary Shuffler, Tommy Tubberville.
We should also give a shout out to College Game Day. They deserve one as well for going to Florida, Miami over some of the other games.
No
Florida
surprise
coming off
there.
back-to-back losses. Yeah,
We
no
could've-
surprise.
How is DJ Lagaway not a Tommy this week with 5 picks?
Dude, that is an
That's
insane
fair.
stat line. Did y'all see that
The fact
picture?
that they only lost by 10 is crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, also LSU, like you get 5 interceptions and you get a pick 6 and you only win by 10.
Yeah, their
Exactly.
season's not looking nearly as good right now.
They should
with
not
how
be top
Clemson's
3.
looked. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
it's
Another
just-
AP. There's the Shufflers knowing what they're talking about, man. AP polls wacky, except for Tech sitting at 17. Maybe they should be higher, and they will be after Salt Lake City on Saturday. I can guarantee it. So, Z, close us out with the Tech trivia question, man. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, Texas Tech is ranked 17th in the AP poll. When and what season was the last time that we were ranked even close to this high? Do you know the last time that we were 17th or better in the AP poll?
It was 2013,
2013.
close first year.
That is correct, Conrad. You were top 10 at that point. You had a 10th overall ranking. Crazy times, but that was the last time that you've been this high.
Almost started 7-0 and
10+
almost
years.
almost went in and beat Norman or beat OU and Norman that year. And could have been 8-0, and you finished 8-5 that year. Fun fact. So it went down pretty
It's
quick.
not a fun fact.
No, you're right. That's a miserable fact. That's a miserable fact. You're right. Well, man, that was a ton of fun. I will be honest. Out of all the preview shows we have done, I am most looking forward to Thursday's episode. So I cannot wait to preview, predict, discuss the Utah-Texas Tech game. It is going to be awesome. We're working on a potential fun interview. We'll see if we can have a special guest with us on the Thursday episode. But if this is your first time to the Broadway Shuffle, we appreciate you listening, tuning in. It helps us a lot if you would and enjoy it. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us on our social medias. We appreciate the support. It helps us grow, and we have a ton of fun. And thank you to everyone, who came up to us at the game, said thank you. We seriously are overwhelmed by some of the support we are getting. And just thanks to Coy Eakin and everyone for a great episode. But make sure to tune in on Thursday. We will be back to preview the first Big 12 game for Texas Tech at Utah, 11 a.m., big noon kickoff. It will be a blast. So for Clayton, Conrad, and Zyler, I am Brennan. We'll see you guys on Thursday. Wreck 'em.
He makes the catch. He's going all the way. 20, 15, 10. Touchdown.